Okay, so in 5.1, the title is the unit circle. Okay, so we just made our unit circle. We're going to talk a little bit about some of these relationships. Okay, so we're going to determine a reference number and a terminal point when given a value of t. That's actually what we're going to focus on in the next part. And again, this is a no calculator unit. So remember, we just said the unit circle is the circle of radius what? 1. It is centered at the origin in the xy plane. So the origin is 0, 0. Its equation is, so in order to fill out the equation, you have to know the equation of the circle. It seems like not many people were familiar with that earlier, so I'm going to write it out for you. So the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay, and this is where r is the radius and hk is the center. We are going to be talking more about the equation of a circle in chapter 8 in semester 2. So if you were to plug in the values that the unit circle has, your center is 0, 0. This is your hk. Okay, your r value is going to be 1. So this would be x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 1 squared. And we're just going to simplify that. Okay, so x minus 0 would just be x. So that would be x squared plus y minus 0 squared would just be y squared. Okay, and then 1 squared would just be equivalent to 1. Okay, so this would be an equation for the unit circle. And we also can recall what the equation is for the circumference. Do you guys remember what that is? So the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. Okay, which means the circumference of the unit circle is 2 pi. Okay, and that's why you have your radian value at 2 pi there. So in example 1, it says just show that that point is on the unit circle. If you are showing something, you are verifying. This is going to be like a check where you have to plug it in and make sure both sides are equal. So if it is on the unit circle, it has to make this equation true. X squared plus y squared equals 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug that point in to the equation. Okay, so x squared plus y squared equals 1. They give you a point, so you know what your x is and you know what your y is. You just have to substitute and solve. Well, evaluate, really. Okay, see if you can do those next few steps. You should have 1, 2, and then the third step will be that they're equal to each other. So when you square a square root, it undoes the square root because they're inverses. What's 6 squared? 36. Okay, so then you can just add 36 over 36 is going to be 1. Okay, so 1 is equal to 1. When you verify, that's all you have to do. You just have to show both sides are equal. Okay, you can only work with one side of the equation. Okay, so if it just says show it's on the unit circle, you will just be writing out a check. In example 2, it says the point P is on the unit circle. The x-coordinate of P is negative 2/3, and P is in quadrant 2. Okay, notice it says find the point. So your answer should be in point form. You don't have to label it with the P, but you do have to label it XY. So you already have part of your answer. We just need to find the Y coordinate. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to solve for Y once we substitute in what we know. Okay, so you're solving for Y in the equation x squared plus y squared equals 1. Okay, so we know it's on the unit circle. We know what the x coordinate is. So we're going to substitute in negative 2/3 for x. We're going to solve this for y. Whenever you square something, a negative times a negative is a positive. So this is going to be 4/9 plus y squared equals 1. When you subtract 4/9 from both sides, write out what y squared is equal to. I'm going to give you a moment to solve that, okay? Okay, so remember 1 is like 9/9. So 9 minus 4 is 5, so we should have 5/9. And then we're going to take the square root. When we take the square root, keep in mind you have to do that plus or minus. Okay, and you can split it up into root 5 over root 9. So plus or minus root 5 over 3. So our second step is determining the sign. Okay, so determine the sign. Is it plus or minus? So it's going to depend on this part that they give you. So in this case, they told us it was in quadrant 2. Because it's a y coordinate, if P is in quadrant 2, based on what we wrote down on our unit circle and what we know about quadrant 2, is the x value is negative, the y value is positive. Okay, we do already have a negative x value. Okay, so that means the y is positive. Okay, so you're going to use positive root 5 over 3. Your last step is just to write your answer as a point. And again, it's because it says P, X, Y. Okay, so it'll be negative 2/3 and then root 5 over 3. Okay, so sometimes your solving value will be positive, sometimes it will be negative. It just depends on what quadrant you have and which coordinate you are solving for there. Okay?